The cage we cherish. A great man once said, "Give me liberty or give me death." But that great man was never offered $200,000 a week to play a children's game. Today we're here to talk about release clause. In other words, the biggest crock of you could finish the rest. The headline goes, Fati signs a new contract with a $1 billion release clause. Meet the $1 billion man. We cheer, we applaud, we scream. We go on our social media. We got the new $1 billion baby. The whole time, the cage gets closer and the noose ties harder. The legendary Messi was once betrayed by the club he loved. More specifically, by the president of the club he loved. He was promised by Bartomeu. He was promised, given his word. And after all Messi has done for the club, how could he not trust that word? How could he not trust that Bartomeu would honor those words? What more do I have to do for you to honor a simple request? That request was in the summer of 2020 that Messi would have the freedom to choose the club he wants. Just the freedom. Just the freedom to choose. So if he wanted to leave, he could leave. If he wanted to stay, he could stay. And after 15 years of service since I was 16. Service since I was 16. Bartomeu betrayed him. You see, what happened was in the summer of 2020, Bartomeu came to a realization. He realized without Messi, they could not achieve the top four. He realized that without Messi, everything failed. He spent over $300 million on 3 players that did not amount to what he dreamed of. Failure, corruption. He could not let anymore. He couldn't bear his conscience to be the president that let Messi leave. But he was not aware that his actions are the reason that Messi was leaving. An aging squad. Failure to compete against Real Madrid or even compete in the Champions League. A player of Messi's status deserved more. As Bartomeu came to that realization, to save himself from further embarrassment, he stabbed Messi in the back. He took back his words slowly. He turned against Messi. Messi in a million of years would have never believed that Barcelona would do such a thing to him. Heck, I wouldn't have believed it. So as Messi realized the knife was in his back, Messi called his lawyers, called his father, his agents. They swarmed into Barcelona in the dead of the night, ready to argue, ready to take it to court, ready to fight for Messi's freedom. But Messi did not realize that he gave his freedom away when he initially signed a contract with a $700 million release clause. Messi could have been Jesus. Heck, the way he was playing for Barcelona, he was that Jesus. But no one was going to pay $700 million for the football Jesus. Messi did not realize when he signed his contract originally that he sealed away his rights. So as Judas betrayed Messi, Messi being the class man he was, accepted his fate, stayed one more year, gave Barcelona that coveted Champions League spot, and was allowed to leave for free 1 year later. But I guarantee you, Messi had a release clause of $100 million, of $150 million, $200 million. It didn't matter what Judas Bartomeu said or did. Any club would have swept in. Money on the table. Manchester City would have swept in. Money on the table. Heck, they was gonna give $100 million for Harry Kane. You telling me they want to have money on the table to get Messi out? And some of us might question, why would the club ever give Messi that release clause? Why would they? Messi has all the leverage. When Messi comes to renew his contract, if he wants a $150 million release clause, he's gonna get a $150 million release clause. But Messi didn't realize. Messi, blinded by his love for the club, never imagined a scenario leaving the club. So the release clause meant nothing to him. But you still could have a $150 release clause, $150 million release clause, and still be loyal to your club. All it does is force your club to act right. It forces them to treat you as who you are. And they did. They paid him like who you was. But when the time came, they say you never know who your real friends are till you're put in a position where they have to be your friend, where they have to make that tough decision. So Messi was never in that tough decision with Barcelona where he was forced to almost leave. He never knew who Barcelona was, or should I say Bartomeu was at the time. Bartomeu made him the richest football player alive. He never knew. All times was great. But when that moment of struggle came, Messi didn't know the knives would come as well. The worst thing about the release clause is all it does is takes away leverage from you. Ronaldo had $1 billion release clause with Real Madrid, the club he gave 400 goals to. Average over 1 goal per game. The $1 billion didn't mean nothing when they sold them for $100 million to Juventus. So all it does is allow the club to dictate your future. So why do we applaud it? Why do players willingly sign it? All it is another cage, another feather in the club's cap to hold you down. So when we see the next $1 billion release clause, man, there's no need to applaud. There's no need to celebrate. All it means is you lost your choice to choose, and your only avenue out is to run out your contract. Or if the club decides to sell you for who they want, they can. Harry Kane made the same mistake. Harry Kane was promised by Levy that he could leave this past summer when he signed a 6-year contract. But Harry Kane made the mistake, which I don't fault Levy for. Levy said, Harry Kane, you can leave, but the offer must be right. I would not let a player of your talent and stature leave for under market value. But who deemed that market value? Who had the leverage to demand it? Danny Levy. He deemed it to be over $200 million. But that $200 million mean nothing to Harry Kane. None of those none of the funds go towards his pocket. They all go towards Spurs. What Harry Kane should have done, signed the contract, within that contract, demand a reasonable release clause. Because I guarantee you, if his release clause was $100 million, Grealish would not be at Manchester City and Harry Kane would be there instead. Heck, it could have been both of them. No, Manchester City. So when you do see that next $1 billion release clause and the headlines flashes, player X, the next $1 billion baby, the next $1 billion youth, the next Brazilian superstar with $1 billion release clause, and you hear the crowd cheer, think to yourself, it's just another man signing his rights to the cage for X amount of years. A great man once said, give me liberty or give me death. But that great man was never offered $200,000 a week to play a children's game. What would you choose? Thank you.